A sex podcaster and a rabbi walk into a Netflix rom-com. Yeah, you heard me right. Not a joke. It's nobody wants this. And I mean, haven't we all been let down by Netflix rom-coms before?
Totally.
So, yeah, I was skeptical. But then the reviews, everyone's talking about it.
It's definitely got that whole how is this good
Yeah,
thing going on.
right. Exactly. We dug into some reviews, and you sent over that piece from Tom's Guide. They said it reminded them of Love, that other Netflix show. What do you think? Is this just Love Part 2, or is there something more?
Well, the love comparison is interesting. Both shows have that really honest, even awkward look at relationships, especially in LA. But like, Love was about two people figuring themselves out through the relationship, right? This one, nobody wants this, it
Yeah.
seems like it's asking. Can those same messy people even connect at all these days, especially with the jobs they have? Very specific, very now.
So using a familiar formula, but with a twist.
Yeah, precisely. And twisting what we know, that's often where the best stories come from.
Speaking of twists, Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. I mean, she's all sunshine. He's built a career on being, the sarcastic one. This pairing, were you surprised?
Absolutely. But that's what makes it so interesting, right? You've got this tension just built in. Her warmth, his, drier humor, could be amazing chemistry, could be a total flop.
Well, Tom's Guide, they were raving about the chemistry, said it really makes the show.
See, that's what I want to see. How much is the writing? How much is just them as actors? Are they playing against type, or is this natural for them now? That I'm curious about.
And I'm curious how they'll make this whole sex podcaster and rabbi thing work. Sounds like it'll be awkward, hopefully in a funny way.
Hopefully not in a way that's like making fun of religion, It needs that balance, poking fun at those two worlds, but still respectful.
Especially now, comedy can be tricky. It's like walking a tightrope.
It is. But if they pull it off, man, it can say a lot about how we see intimacy, spirituality, all of it changing.
Okay, but let's talk about something practical. Everyone's saying this show, it's perfect for our, modern attention spans. 30-minute episodes, people love it.
Right, like a little TV snack you watch during lunch, waiting for dinner.
Or in that meeting, that should just been an email pretending to pay attention.
Exactly. And it shows how we watch things now. It's just constant stuff coming at us. So these short stories, we can dip in and out. It's not overwhelming.
Plus, isn't it good to leave people wanting more? With an hour-long show, they got to fill the time, even if it means adding stuff that's not that important or stretching things out. But 30 minutes, every scene, every word matters more.
Absolutely. The writing has to be tight. It's all about the characters, and these smaller moments, those get lost in a longer format.
Which, let's be real, is perfect for rom-coms. Those little looks, the funny bits, those awkward moments that make you cringe but you're laughing.
Yes. And it lets the show build that tension. Are they not gonna? That's so key for these kinds of shows.
Okay, so we've got the comparisons to Love, the unusual premise, the casting that shouldn't work but maybe does. Does it actually live up to the hype, though? Rotten Tomatoes scores seem to say yes.
93%. That's huge, especially for a rom-com, almost unheard of.
So what are the critics saying? What's got them so into it?
Well, everything I've seen says the writing's sharp, the acting's great, and it's surprisingly, heartfelt. It's not just trying to be funny. These characters, they've got depth, real struggles both on their own and trying to make this relationship work.
That's interesting because Tom's Guide, they talked about how relatable the characters are. They said it's not really about a sex podcaster and a rabbi. It's about two people trying to find where they fit in, which, I don't know, that feels pretty universal, right? No matter what your job is.
Exactly. And that's what makes it more than just a rom-com. It's not just will they, won't they. It's something bigger, something we all deal with.
It's not like everyone's in love with it, though, right? RogerEbert.com, they weren't as thrilled. Gave it 2 stars, I think.
Yeah, and that's always going to happen. Humor is subjective. What one person thinks is charming, someone else is like, ugh, so cliche.
True for anything, really. Not everyone's going to have the same taste.
Right. But even the reviews that weren't positive, they aren't saying it's bad, just that it didn't click with them.
So more about taste, not that the show itself is flawed.
Yeah, seems like it. And honestly, that's refreshing, isn't it? A show that gets people talking, debating, not just universally loved or hated.
I think so. Shows they're doing something right if it makes you think, challenges what you expect.
Exactly. That, to me, is what makes something really worth watching.
So our listeners should Nobody Wants This be on their watch list. Sounds like a pretty safe bet, especially if you're looking for something smart, funny, and, like you said, surprisingly heartwarming.
I'd say so. It's got the relatable characters, well written, That rom-com feel, but updated.
And the 30-minute thing, quick escape, you're not signing up for some huge time commitment.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. This show, being so successful with the unusual premise, the characters actually having depth, it makes you wonder.
What's the bigger question then, behind the rom-com and all?
Makes you think, right? Does this show, doing so well, does it mean we all want lighter stories? More hopeful stuff in our entertainment, I mean.
Ooh, okay, I like that. Are we all just, like, craving a break from the heavy stuff?
It's something to think about. There's so much negativity, the news, online, everywhere. Maybe, without realizing it, we want something that reminds us that good things are still possible. Connection, happiness, all that, even with how crazy the world feels.
And what says hope more than a rom-com, right? Finding love when you don't expect it, getting over problems, that whole happy ending idea.
Exactly. At its heart, the genre is about being vulnerable, about empathy, believing that people can connect, really connect, and that's powerful, especially when the world feels so divided, cynical sometimes.
So maybe this show, it's not just a fun watch, it's a sign of where we're at. We want stuff that makes us feel good, reminds us that love and laughter, it's still out there.
Could be. And isn't that what's so great about good entertainment? It's not just entertaining. It gets these conversations going. It makes us see the world differently.
And there you have it, our deep dive into Nobody Wants This. This show that's defying expectations, amazing Rotten Tomato scores, and maybe, just maybe, showing us that we want a little more optimism in our shows and in our lives.
Now there's something to think about.
Will this be your new binge watch? Only one way to find out. Until next time, happy streaming, everybody!